Payments Corporation of India. The fest is presented by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Government of India, Reserve Bank of India, and supported by Niti Aayog, Startup India, and Invest India, and is powered by Razorpay, brought to you by Amazon Pay, WhatsApp, in association with partner Google Pay and Open Financial Technology, digital payments partner Cash Free Payments. Our next section is on Indian FinTech landscape and overview by Mr. Nalin Bansal. Without further ado, let me introduce our esteemed panelist. We have with us Mr. Nalin Bansal, Chief Relationship Management and Key Initiatives, National Payments Corporation of India, and Mr. Bhavik Koladia, co-founder, Bharat Pay. Sir, Mr. Bansal, over to you.
Thank you. Good morning. It is extreme, delightful to see, and I would want to welcome my panelist, fellow mate Bhavik. So what we got lined up for you is a very short presentation. So we'll just set the context on how the market is sort of evolving, and we'll get down to our conversation later on. So just a few slides and. So, I hope my slides are visible, and if they're not, please just let us know so that we can get that checked. At NPCI, the need to connect with fintechs, I think, has been a source of inspiration for us. I think our success on UPI tells us that this is a area that can only grow with combined collaboration of the technology, banking, and the financial ecosystem. With this, I think belief and trust. I think we this year we started to now focus very strongly on this space with the creation of a completely new vertical at NPCI. We call it the FinTech and the Merchant Solution Team. And this is some amount of work that we've done in the past, and then our insights into that work that we're presenting today. And hopefully, with our conversation with Bhavik, we'll get to have a sense of how fintechs are looking at this space, and what are the things that could create some amount of excitement and greater avenues of business for the complete ecosystem together. So just a few points on the landscape. I think this is well known. A lot of unicorns have been born in the last 18 months. I think the maximum of them have been in the fintech domain. That's no secret anymore. The highest adoption rate globally, 87%. I am sure most of you would have seen the running graph that is being very popular these days, where the number of digital transactions in India have now crossed over China, US by a significant amount. There is, of course, a lot of funding that is coming into this ecosystem. We all are aware of the manpower issues all of us are facing because of that as well. But I guess that goes to believe the immense trust and opportunity that lies in the market today. By some estimates, the industry is about 31 billion today, as the market evaluates, expected to grow at 22% to about 84 billion. And of course, a large part of it where UPI has played a role, which has seen a 15x jump in the last 3 years. The key drivers, I think, again, these are well-known facts. Unlike other economies in India, the most important parameter that has led to the growth of fintechs has been the policy. Very unlikely parameter, but I think the policy interventions by the regulator, the government has helped a lot of this growth, especially the India stack. Of course, the increased penetration of mobile and internet, where now people have more mobile phones than laptops. The demographic profile, with a lot of population under 35, almost 65 to 70%. We spoke about the government and regulatory initiatives, the ONDC, the OCEN, the recently launched initiative on healthcare yesterday. I think there are a lot of these policy initiatives that has helped these fintechs and organizations to build some use cases around it. And of course, lower penetration of financial services, so to speak, whether it is on investment, insurance, and I think micro lending, and which is what is now leading to the growth in the and the penetration in the ecosystem. Some key trends, I think lending, of course, all of us know. This is the most exciting segment right now. I think everybody is looking at this to grow the next set of payments. By some estimate, the amount of lending industry, the size that is being calculated, can generate, with the inclusion of the repayment transactions, can generate almost similar number of payment transactions that the industry is doing today. So there's just a parallel industry waiting for to be explored and tapped. If the market is doing about 4 or 5 million transactions monthly, the same amount of transactions can be generated through digital lending if the market was to bring all of that on digital. Of course, the wealth management services. This is the segment which we all believe is the lowest penetrated. While there are opportunities to spend, there are opportunities to lend, but I don't think there are opportunities to invest. And I think there's significant amount of value and growth in this segment. Linked to that is insurance. Of course, the digital cash, or what we can call as cashless economy, and then further initiatives from the government of India. And of course, looking at a more unified form of ecosystem, either through DLT, blockchain, or any such technology intervention where you work on a common platform. There are microservices built on that platform. Broadly, we realized that there are two distinct segments to this. One is the area of customer solutions. There are a lot of people there, and that's where the explosion has happened. Where organizations are looking at neo banking, BNPL. There are super apps, connected cars, remittances, and so on and so forth. And then there is the ecosystem of enablers. While there is a lot of, it's much easy to get into customer solutioning space. You could quickly build up an app and then get into that zone, take a pipe from somebody. But I think the real valuations are on the enabling side. And we've seen that in the past, Razorpay, PayU, BillDesk, Pine Labs, how those entities, M2P, Yap, Zeta, how those entities have grown and they've delivered value in the ecosystem. So I'll briefly touch upon this very quickly. So, like I said, on customer solutions, BNPL, the most talked about use case these days. And in terms of size, we just explained that this could potentially grow to the same level of transaction that we have today on the P2P and the P2M side. And I think there's huge value to sort of be tapped. We all know number of credit cards in the country. There's a long way to go. Neo banking, while the term may not be entirely appropriate, but we believe that there is enough space where banks would be open to get new age players to come in, create experience on the consumer side, and that's the platform that a lot of these players are building, and there are plenty of organizations working in that space, and of course the super apps. So these are the three key segments that we've seen in the market. And I think from a customer solution point of view, these are possibly the most hottest areas to be into as we move along, from our current journey point of view. On the enabler side, I think this is a traveled path. Of course, these are entities which have been behind the scenes. They have been the ones who have created the platforms. They've created a service layer for the organizations to grow, and they are the real people who are connecting banks and the consumer segments. At NPCI, we are now looking to work on a program where we'll have some of these entities onboarded as partners to our journey. We'll be announcing that very soon, and then this will take us through ensuring that some of these players are ready, available for you, to come on board. RuPay, UPI, Natch, NETC, and such platforms that we are going to build. These are divided into three segments. There are, of course, the top layer, which is on the decisioning, the KYC, and the consumer onboarding side. There's a middle layer, which is on the processing and the and the core switching side. And of course, there are value-added services which could be on CRM solution, bot solution, settlement solutions, and things like that. So, just a quick overview. There is we believe there is about 300 billion of market size today on these players, which can grow up to about 1.5 trillion in about 5 years. That's a huge growth we expect, because these are the guys and these are the segment we believe have also the potential to go beyond the country. As we look at our international, expansion, and the industry moves towards other demographic areas, we believe that these are the players that can grow scale and volume for that market. Known players on the left hand side, I guess all of you are aware of them. Uh, uh, and I guess they're just not into payment aggregation and processing. There are a lot of other areas that they are moving into. Now it's becoming very ubiquitous. You have both online, offline being offered on the same platform. So pretty much a common platform to do your loyalty, your acquiring, your issuing, all of that together. Again, some numbers, and I think market share are pretty well known after some recent acquisitions. Uh, and then some few names on how these plays have evolved in the past: ISG, MindGate, FSS, Savatra. So these are some, and then of course I think the way they are building these platforms are purely on a cloud basis, and then building all these microservices on top of it, whether it's on switching, authentication, authorization, key management, analytics. So this pretty much saying we would take one box or the other, and then it's a very customized platform they're willing to offer. There are almost 30 plus players which are now enabled on UPI and RuPay for NPCI, and I think, like I said, we'll be announcing a program very soon to be able to identify these partners so that you can make your choices better. Some use cases. These are on. We believe have been our success stories in the past. Lending on prepaid. We know a lot of those cards have gone out in the market. The Infinity platform. This was a start point for us, which we have now jointly launched with Pfizer. This is very similar to the enabling platform that we were just speaking about, where the market can come and onboard at a pay as you go kind of mechanism, and then you can have microservices built on that platform. The Nth Reward Platform. This is again a platform that we created for loyalty, without the intention of having a one more Me Too loyalty service. We intend to create it as a platform where all the loyalty providers can connect and generate exchange value for each other. The UPI autopay, the industry is struggling with a lot of autopay use cases, and I think this was possibly the savior, which has now allowed consumers to set up their autopay transactions before the regulation kicks in, starting 2 days from now. And of course, some new key solutions on the card side, the offline. We just launched the wearables, and then some cool designs on Novelist card and things like that. So I think these are some cool use cases that we've seen, and happy to now call in Bhavik. Bhavik has been an extremely important player in this segment, and we'll probably, Bhavik, happy to have you here. You know, for NPCI and people out here, this is a journey that we are seeing from the outside. While we are part of the core interaction at some point, but really how you've seen in the market, and you're probably one of the rarest fintechs, which has started as a fintech and now gone into full banking. So we felt that your perspective in this segment should help us a little bit more in how this is evolving. So thank you so much for joining us. I'll get started. I think the first point that came to my mind when I was looking at the market size, 31 billion, great. Going to 85 billion, I think extremely good. But one question that comes to my mind, and I wanted to take your views on that. I disagree with that market size, and the reason I disagree is that this is fintech today, but this is going to be banking tomorrow. And why is that market size just 85 billion? Why not the entire banking and financial services? So what's your take on that? And I just want to understand: are we just going to have fintechs as one side layer to everything that we do, or we're looking at union of these two at some point in time?
Thank you, Nalin sir, for having me. Hello, everyone. So I'm glad to hear that you think that way, right? That there is a very fine line between the fintechs and the banks now. My 2 cents are that if you look at it, every fintech in India They want to become a bank one day, right? They have an aspiration to become a bank. And I'm not talking about like, the Walmarts or Google or Facebook or, the Alibabas of the world. But if you ask Razorpay, yeah, of course, Razorpay wants to become a bank one day. If you ask Cred, Cred wants to become a, the bank for that segment one day. We have companies like FamPay, Walrus, Junio. They all want to become a bank for the teenagers, right? The challenge I think here is that um, the license, I guess. We are still living in the world where we want to build a business around banking. It is a closed walled garden, right, where it does not have any doors, I mean, to be honest, right? When we started, I had to walk into a branch to get a UPI handle, right, to become an aggregator. And this was like 4 years back, when there was no UPI penetration on the merchant side. So I guess, yes, every fintech wants to become a bank one day, and if we enable that as an industry, we could see a huge potential that can be tapped. You're talking about the valuation, right? I think I leave it up to the venture capitals, right? I mean, me and you are not putting money, millions and millions of dollars. I don't think we have right to judge or justify any valuation for any startups. But if you look at it, there are 1.5 trillion deposits and both assets and liability that the banking industry in India is covering, and probably 10x of that volume opportunity is in two payments. But if you look at the whole ecosystem, we have hundreds of banks, right? 60% of the banks are still public sector banks.
Actually,
Only
2,000, not even 100.
so I mean, if you look at it, do we have the 2000 fintechs? So I think it's just starting, right? It is We are not even scratching the surface. The opportunity is just so huge, and every fintech will become a bank. I think, give it 5 years, we would have all these names that you mentioned on your slide. It All of them will have some sort of banking license, and they're going to go build the product from scratch. They will be the manufacturer, they will be owning the assembly. They are not going to digitally transform themselves, right, because they're born digital. So yeah, absolutely, it's a huge potential, and all fintechs
Yeah,
will be back one day.
yeah. No, no, I great. I think that's the question that was rambling in my mind. When I looked at that report, it said 84 billion by 2025. I said that's too short for the amount of excitement and action that is happening in fintech. There is got to be a much bigger size, and with that aspiration, I think the opportunity is almost equivalent to the entire banking and financial services that we have today, and not just limited to a certain area of payments alone. Uh, you spoke about valuation, and I just want to put a number. Somebody was, sharing with me the current combined valuation of the fintechs, the serious fintechs in the market, about 60 billion. It's a huge number. And then again, it's expected to go 2x, 3x in the next 3, 4 years. Good for investors and people who are here for, making that valuation. But there is a lot that has been talked about, saying a lot of guys are jumping into this only for the sake of valuation, and they're only here to bring value for the shareholder and not for the consumer, and so on and so forth. But my question is, the valuation is there because there is a need, right? There's an opportunity and there's a need. The valuation is not there just because somebody wants to open up a organization. And isn't that what is happening in commerce, health, wealth, and education? A lot of edtech companies look at Byju's. So, do you think that's it's a bubble, or is this really an opportunity there which is getting valued at the right price?
See, I think there is a lot of liquidity into the market. That is there for sure, but I think it's just the timing, right? I don't see the private equity market where the startups play, or the public market, right? It's much different. I mean, all the public companies have their valuation soared as well. There is just a lot of demand. People are optimistic, right? So everybody wants to invest, and there is just liquidity into the market, right? That might get stabilize next year, but it's just one of those cycles, right? It will be the journey. It will go up and down. And if you ask me, I don't think in any of the at least fintech startups in the industry, nobody's chasing valuation, right? Everybody is trying to build something that is much bigger than, and it's a little known secret that the founders don't get to unlock that valuation until 10, 15 years after. So it's just giving out a number or putting a unicorn tag. I don't think that's what excites any of the founders or the larger team who is working at the startups. I think it's just what they get to do, the change it's if you ask anybody that would you be doing something else rather than running a fintech startup in this industry, I think answer will come clear cut no. So valuation is not the driver. Market decides it, investors decide it, right? If somebody believes that okay, I'm getting into it some price and there is a 10x growth from here in the future, of course they're going to pay more. And I don't think I blame any VC industry or the startups for that. I mean, Apple stocks, you cannot justify how you're getting that multiple,
Yeah.
so
No,
it's
no, I
just
understand.
that's
But just one another thing out there, the way we are seeing the market from a customer solution point of view, people who are focusing on saying, I will create the UI, I will create the UX. I don't care what is the backend, I don't care what are the service APIs on the backend side. And then there are these fintechs which are focusing on enabling, right? Whether these are giving you processing APIs or they're giving you onboarding APIs or they're focusing on the settlement layer, the money movement layer, whatever those are. Do you believe that they're going to continue to remain separate segments, or there's a fusion that is going to happen at some point in time where there'll be one stack all? Number two, we do believe we've seen that now in the market with the recent acquisitions. A lot of value has come to the enabling side. We looked at the BuildDesk acquisition, the Pine Labs investment, others we've seen in the market. There's a lot of value that has not been unlocked. So while it's easy to calculate value on the consumer side, it's not so easy to calculate value on the enabling side. And do you think that's a area that's uncharted and available for people to come and invest? And secondly, do you think these two can merge at some point in time?
Yeah, absolutely. So, see, Nalin, you would know it better than any of us, right? To process a rupee transaction, how many, companies I would say that is touching that single transaction, right? Currently, in my view, it is just the challenge is that everything is behind the curtains, right? Consumer does
Hmm.
not get to experience things, right? How
Hmm.
the payments get processed. Once that education starts happening, right, I think the innovation will also start happening super fast. Currently, if you look at the whole banking stack,
Hmm.
it is a package software, right? And
Hmm.
nobody gets to open up that software package, take some code blocks and do some magic on top of it and bundle that product into a different way. Currently, it's a
Correct.
cookie cutter approach, right? I mean, if you
Yes.
look at payments, we are leaps and bounds ahead in terms of the world, in terms
Hmm.
of UPI, in terms of and it's not just today, right? I mean, when NPCL launched IMPS, that was one of the first kind of a product, right? We have built
Hmm.
RuPay itself. We are building Ocean. We are building those platforms. Now those platforms, there is, I think, a disconnect between the startups, banks, and the platforms, and it is getting closer and closer, and it is coming much faster, which is a good news, right? And
Hmm.
once that fusion happens, we will see the products. I mean, last time, if you look at on the payment side, we have done so much innovation, but on the banking side, I think the coolest product that we came up on the banking side is the EMI, which is nowhere in the world.
Correct.
But that was it.
That was it.
Payment has been evolved, but banking is still there, and
Yeah, the
it's like
investment, the insurance, correct. All these are.
absolutely. So rather than going from that old 90s, the software packages based approach, we
Hmm.
have to move towards the microservices approach, and then people get to build the products. Like startups get to build the products what their customers want. Currently, in our conversation, I will walk you through, right? How the banks are building the products right now.
Yeah. No, I get that. No, in fact, so the writing is on the wall. There is very soon an aggregation of all that going to happen. I'm hearing you. And these walls hopefully will get broken. But funnily, even now, and that's a question I had in mind. A lot of when we take fintechs to banks and we talk to them, about onboarding and all of that. Some of these banks have come back and say they get to finalize their fintech policy. They have to close that, and they will have a commercial around it and an engagement model around it, and they'll have a bus ecosystem around it to connect to them. uh, I I was unable to understand, because to me, isn't there time now to change this from a policy to a culture? I think the time isn't the time come where from fintechs wanting to become banks, banks should want to become fintechs. So, how is that shift are you seeing in the market? Because this fintech policy was a baffling word for me.
See, in my view, all of the banks in India, they have done a very good job in terms of building the trust in the eyes of the consumers, right? I mean, we went from a few million, banked population to almost, 99% people now have the banks, and that does not happen until there is a trust in the banking system. So they've done a pretty good job on that, right? Just being the financial wizards who started the banks right early on, they have focused more on that. I think in the past 10 years, the whole industry, in terms of, like you said, in health tech, retail, e-commerce, all of them, they've been touched by the technology, right?
Hmm.
Banks are still, very, very far from having a technology mindset. Forget about fintech policy or digital policy. I think it is time that all of the bankers should have to realize, should realize that, it is not a digital transformation. It is not just a digital channel.
Correct. It's an
Fintech,
organizational. It's an organizational change.
correct. So the core business still, in the views, it remains that it's a branch banking. I mean, if you look at just the past 2 years, there is no better time to relook at it. Do
I
we
get.
really need the branches? I mean, in past 2 years, have you visited any branch? Even before that, when was the last time you went to the branch? Everything happens on a mobile app. So why the technology cannot be the core business? Why it is still a channel, a digital distribution channel? A fintech is just a channel,
Is a channel.
for the digital distribution to deliver your products. Why can't fintech start manufacturing the products in partnerships? So I
Right.
think the bank will have to open up more. I mean, it's just, UPI. We have, like you said, hundreds of banks, right? Uh, how many fintech players is still? I mean, if you count, there are three or four players.
Hmm.
Uh, the platform itself is interoperable.
Right.
There has to be something that is not letting new entities. I mean, we were the last one to get into the UPI acquiring space. That has been almost 4 years. So it is just a sad part that the platforms are there, banking industry is stable, but fintech
Hmm.
is not part of it. So if there is a policy, I don't know if there is one, but if there is a policy, I think that policy needs to be changed. Uh,
Into
uh, in favor of fintechs, okay, let them try, right? While keeping the risk and compliance and the consumer interest in mind, but let them try, let them build a product, let them bring innovation to this.
No, you have made some great point there, Bhavik. I understand trust is hard built, and I think that's what is probably taking the for other industry it is easier, health, education, all of that. It is easier to move and move from distribution strategy to manufacturing strategy on digital. But for our banking industry, it is taking some time because that trust needs to build. The trust on technology maybe is still not there, and that's something that I think together we'll all have to work towards. Um, we spoke about the valuation, the opportunity, the banking, engagement, and how this is moving along. Um, you are, one of, like I said at the start, you're one of the fintechs which has broken that glass wall. You're now entering into the banking ecosystem. What's your vision? So for you as a bank now, Bharat Pay, next 2 3 years, what's that you're looking at, Bhavik? What are you working on? Moreover, like you said, moving from from distribution to manufacturing, what are the cool things that you are looking to sort of bring to market? From with the focus on UI UX, obviously. So some quick insights on your plans.
Sure. So, we have got the in principle, approval for a small finance bank license in partnership with
Mhm.
our, partners with Centrum. Both of us are, on it. What we are trying to build is a, build a bank from grounds up. If you look at it, there hasn't been a bank that was built in at least past couple of decades, while keeping the technology in mind, right? It hasn't been built for the internet. It was built. I mean, if you just take an example of a core banking solution, right? The core banking solution has been built to connect the branches with the head office, not to connect the branches with their customers. And over the years, it has kept getting built and built and built. It has become such a juggernaut, a complex architecture. I mean, it comes as a pre-packaged software with thousands and thousands of tables. And if you want to just get to know which is written in those tables, it will take you years and years. So you are taking an approach in terms of building the products from grounds up using the first principle, the way the consumers would want it, right?
Mm.
I mean, we all trust our banks, but do we love our banking apps? I would say if we do the survey, the answer is going to come resoundingly no. And the example is out there, right? The Phone Pay and Google Pay and the Paytm. They
Mm.
are the those are the apps that the consumers use to do the banking. I mean, transactional banking, right? And there must be something amiss. So can we just bridge the good parts of the banking and the good parts of the fintech, and marry them together to come up with a solution, come up with the products that the consumers love. We want to be the bank that consumer want to open every day, right? They want to open our app, they want to transact through that, they want to play around with that. So it is going to be a journey. Obviously, it is going to take a lot of time to build things the right way. But yeah, we are building products right now. I think another 6 months we may be able to come up with our first product out in the
Sure.
market.
There's a question, and I realized that while we're talking about the merging of the two at some point in time, and of course building it as a common stack and microservice on top of it, the challenge of trust, but there's also challenge of compliance, Bhavik. Because this is a high compliance zone getting into banking. So while payments are somehow now managed with NPCI, RBI, banks, playing a strong role, but if you look at financial services, banking to some extent, it's a high compliance zone. And so what's your plan? I'm just saying how for fintechs to prepare themselves to be able to sort of be on the right side of that compliance, because that's also lends a factor to trust. So any thoughts around it?
Absolutely. See, since we started Bharat Pay, one point of a time, right? It was a virgin territory we were getting into, where the
Hmm.
compliance wasn't even defined, right? Over the years, we have seen it, working with the regulators, working with the NPCA, working with the banks. I think, in my view, the missing part is that compliance has been written in the way that nobody could understand. I don't think any of the startups, they don't value the importance of compliance or
Hmm.
mitigating that risk. I mean, think of this way: every startup without due diligence, you cannot even get $1 million into your bank account, right, from those investors. You are going to the largest of the largest investor all over the world. And so you understand that risk. You're running a business which is a high speed, lot of dynamics that is playing out. And if you don't have the compliance and the risk mitigating factors in place, of course, people are going to fail. In my view, the compliance is not complex, right? I mean, RBI has done a pretty good job,
Hmm.
protecting the consumers and defining the rules,
Hmm.
implementing those rules with the different processes. Just take it,
Hmm.
doing a KYC to open up a bank account.
Right.
RBS has clearly said that okay, you have to do the identity verification, you have to do in-person verification, and you can open up a bank account. Now, how you can mold all those traditional processes into a digital delivered product interface? That's
Hmm.
where the people are lacking, right? Video KYC is there, right? You can do magic with that. You can and that protects your business, right?
Correct.
Now, rather than scheduling a call, can we build something where the video KYC can be done in real time? So we
Right.
solve the processes around compliance. I think it's not a blocker.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if you can have exams and serious examinations on video-based systems, then why not your KYC? I think the answer is up there. So you just got a few more minutes, Bhavik.
Sure.
I wanted to just bring it down to the wire and just help some stargazing. Um, so build or outsource, middleware, application stack, consumer UX. What will be your pick?
Obviously, build anyway, any day.
And same for us, I guess. And then for top three trends in the future, I'll just share you my thoughts. And love to hear your top three trends. For us, I think we believe digital payments off the network are something that needs to be built and implemented. I don't think today we have it. Today everything is very very network based, but digital payments off the network. Moving from certification based to embedded based, and moving from P2M to M2M, which is machine to machine, and then of course a unified stack with microservices. I think these are top three trends that we see from an NPSAP point of view. What's your pick?
I think if I have to choose three, the expectations or what will work is that credit on UPI, it is ripe for disruption. That is
Hmm.
going to be the number one.
Okay.
That will just create the opportunity for. I think it will be same size as what we are
Yes,
seeing,
100%.
right?
Market size
So
is almost same as current payment transaction. I
correct. So
totally
credit
agree
on
with that.
UPI is going to be something that is just going to expand the whole market, right? The second trend I
Mhm.
think would be the decentralized, the finance. I think we've been talking a lot about it, but we haven't been seeing any action. But I think by next year we would be able to see a lot of platforms going decentralized, right? That's the best way to move
Hmm.
numbers, right? I think I look at it in today's world. We are not moving,
Hmm.
we are moving numbers, and if it can be shared on a peer-to-peer network, that would be great. The third trend I would say is the embedded finance, embedded banking, and embedded insurance, where I don't have to leave Zomato or Uber to make a payment. It has to be built. I
Yes.
don't have to go and open up a different page on an iframe to buy an insurance, right? Everything will be just synced together, bundled together. I think whatever we saw in terms of cable industry, right, what Airtel and Jio did,
Hmm.
entertainment
Hmm.
and telecommunication, the same thing will happen with finance, insurance, and banking. That is my guess.
Got it. So you got at least one in common: embedded payments.
Absolutely.
Top two things quickly. Last thing, top two things do you think will phase out? So from our perspective, I think checks eventually. We hope that there will be a phase out for us, and closed loop payments. So over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Those two things, no brainer, right? I mean, currently the check experience is just broken, right? It was built for the
Right.
10 years back. I write down a check, I have to, log in every day and see if the other guy has checked in, cashed in or not, right? So that is broken. On top of that, I would say, Nalin, the branches would definitely disappear. I don't
Okay.
think it's an expensive business to be in, where even it doesn't make any business sense, right? Forget about the consumer experience. So branches will definitely disappear. One different kind of view is that I think the cards will disappear. I know you would, kill me for saying that, but I think the cards and those clunky machines.
At least in that form factor. I think what you mean to say in that form factor, it should be.
Yeah, I think the plastic and those old machines I mean, I also sell those old machines, right? But of course, in future they would disappear.
Get that. Get that. Great. So we got few more minutes. So I have one last thing, if you allow me.
Sure.
Yeah. Uh, just some thoughts, Bhavik. We happen to have some conversations around the upcoming ONDC and OCEN network. We believe these are very, very super, good initiatives to focus on the SME segment. ONDC more on the commerce side and OCN on the credit side, and lending side. Um, I There hasn't a lot happened. So while these are independent Indian stack platform that we get built at some point But at some point, all this has to come together, right? The lending, the selling, the KYC. So what's your take there?
Signal is just like UPA, right? When UPA was started for the 6 months, right? Until Demon happened, nobody knew what UPA was, right? One
Mm,
good part about India is that we build great platforms, right? The platform
mm,
that have been built from scratch and that can at least give us 100 years advantage in terms of the world, right? So the ocean and Sarmati and whatever Nikhil and the Setu they're working on, iSpirit guys are working
mm,
on, right? Even
mm.
the health tech, those platforms are getting
Correct.
built, right?
Yep. Yep.
They are just so powerful, right? We can't even you know understand the power of those platforms. I think it will be just trailing, right? The UPA platform got built first, and then the app started coming in there, and then the bank started catching up. I think the same thing will
Mm,
happen, right? The platforms are there now. In next few months, right? A lot of fintechs and a lot of startups, they're going to build applications on top of that, and after that the banks will start participating in that. So I think another 1 or 2 year journey, and all those platforms are going to come in the forefront.
yeah. So great talking to you, Bhavik.
Same.
I'm really excited. I think this is a great 2 3 years for all of us to build something more. The journey has just started with UPI.
Correct. Okay.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for your
very much.
time. Over to you, ma'am.
Thanks
Thank
a lot.
you. Thank you, Mr. Bansal and Mr. Kolaria, for such an engaging discussion and for being here with us today and making this possible. And a special thanks to all the delegates for being a part of this session. So, thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.